drive through private property that has cattle on it to get to our property. And so,
right. It's
So I write it on the spreadsheet, and then I also
here just smack the computer and they're doing it because
Really?
other property.
valid, yeah.
Is the Forest Service doing that? Is the Forest Service trying to do it?
So what is the
On our property?
Yeah.
Stick around
Yeah.
what is it the benefit to them to get rid of their
Control.
Well, yeah.
Why is everyone here tonight?
Why is everyone here? Oh, I got it. We're ready.
Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. If you all will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Okay, moving right along, we'll have a roll call. Jamie, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Queenie Bars.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson.
Here.
Trustee Richard Topar.
Here.
Trustee McManning.
Here.
Trustee Brett McWhirter.
Here.
Trustee Janice Bryan.
Here.
Trustee Ed Hallam.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum, so we will continue on. Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
I would ask that you amend the agenda by removing item F, the oath of office for Mercedes Unico. She cannot be here tonight. So we will administer the oath. Jamie, as the town clerk, has the authority to administer the oath, so we will administer the oath, and you will absolutely hear it at each meeting. And then please remove item number 6 under discussion and action items. June 21st is the incorrect date, so we do need to have a meeting on June 20th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Trustee Ed Hallam and a second by Trustee Brent McWhirter to accept to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of April 26, 2023, and I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of April 26, 2023 as presented by staff.
Seconded.
Okay, we have a motion by Trustee Janice Bryan and a second by Trustee Richard Toker to approve the minutes of April 26, 2023 as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Next is audience business. And audience business, you have 5 minutes, and no decision can be made tonight. You will present to the board, not to the audience. And when you approach the podium, if you give your name and address for the record. So first on the agenda is Heather Gable.
Heather Gable, 145 Bauer Avenue in Mancos. I live literally 30 feet from El Rio. Nobody asked me if they could put a bar in there. 30 feet, you guys. It's a residential area. Why did you put a bar in a residential area? Do I get to ask questions? No. So every Tuesday night, the noise begins. Loud, booming music in the middle of the night, probably around midnight. I don't know. I always get woken up. People yelling, drunk people wandering around. And the noise is just not acceptable. If you go In the alley right now, you'll see their garbage can, and they have one garbage can for their whole business, and it's always overflowing by the first day. And now they have like 4 bags of garbage out on the street, and the animals have already gotten into it and strewn it all over, broken bottles. I don't think we need this kind of business in our residential neighborhood. Why they need a dumpster. Why don't they have a dumpster? Simple fix. And in the winter, we had a real problem with snow and then clearing the sidewalk, which I believe is what owners are supposed to do. And they didn't, and it was a huge icy mess. You couldn't even pass. Also my car was broken into, and I've lived here like almost 6 years, and that's never happened before. So I am against this business being in our neighborhood. Thank you. Who do I give this to?
Just to Heather.
Okay, the next one is Betty Bryant.
Yes, I'm Betty Bryant, and I live a couple doors down from Miss Heather, and I've been wakened at around midnight quite a few times with quite a loud ruckus noises, people walking by and carrying on, and my door is only like 10 feet from the sidewalk, so it's gotten annoying sometimes. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one is Diana Dorfer.
My name is Diane Dorfer, and I live in apartment 1 at 145 Bauer. When I moved there last August, I was thought that it was an elderly disabled building. And there are those types of people who live there. I am one of them. Number 1, I hear noise past their regulated hours of 10 p.m. You've heard from the previous 2 people saying midnight. Yes, it goes on and on. I was told by Uli, who is in charge of that building, to call the sheriff. So that'll be our next step. We'll just call the sheriff. If we don't get resolution on this business not abiding by what they opened for, it's to be closed at 10. And they're not doing that. So I would suggest the board look at this business and do the right thing for the residents of this community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one is Jay Flanagan.
Hi, Board. My name is Jay Flanagan. My address is 145 Bauer Avenue. I'm here to talk about El Rio. It's an ongoing problem. Mancos is so quiet. People come here because they love the peacefulness, the quietness, and the safety. The bar is 180 from that. We're not a party town. We're not get drunk and be a bunch of loud hoodlums and carry on. That's all we see at the bar. It's excessive drinking, it's excessive serving, which is evidenced by people staggering in the street, people urinating wherever they feel like it. A lot of people bring their own booze to drink in the parking lot. It's a residential area primarily, and they have just kind of come in, taken over the entire area without any regard to the senior disabled residents that live 12 feet away. Their smoking area is a federal violation because it's supposed to be 25 feet from a federal building. Their smoking area is 17 feet. I support small business. I'm in love with Mancos. My dad bought property here in the 60s. But I've also owned a real estate office, and I can tell you this bar is in the wrong place. On the code enforcement on your website, it includes things like keeping property values up. Bar's not going to do that. Protect health and safety of people and animals. Bar's not going to do that. Reduce neighborhood dispute. Bar's definitely not going to do that. Provide positive visitor experience of town. No way. All we get is complaints. So you guys, this is my third time before you in a month and a half, and I'll continue to come before you until we can get a resolution. It would be ideal if they could set up their shop somewhere else where people could get drunk and it wouldn't bother everybody. And if that's unrealistic, don't we have a noise ordinance of 10 p.m.? And don't they need to abide by that? Can't they close at 10 p.m. like all the other drinking establishments? So thank you very much for your time and your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this time is everybody ready to, okay, move forward. And next is announcements.
I do have a couple. Mayor Quimby Bars, Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson will be attending the CML starting June 25th. David is checking his schedule to see if that works for him. Once we hear from David, Jason and I will figure out who's going to go to CML this year. I did get notification today from CDOT that we received our TAP grant application for the sidewalks on Grand Avenue. They couldn't fund the entire $1.1 million that we asked for, but they are funding $739,605. So I have a meeting with CDOT tomorrow to discuss ways to make up the difference, the $360,000 difference. It will be several years before construction starts, so we're going to be looking at potential scope reductions, other items that we can do to make up that difference. But CDOT did award our TAP grant application. Just a reminder, the tour of Aspen Wallwood is Friday at 1 p.m. And I will be out of the office next week at the Drought Summit in Denver. The Mancos Common Press is holding their ribbon cutting ceremony on June 2nd at 1 o'clock p.m. and all of the trustees are invited.
Wait, say that again?
June 2nd, Friday, June 2nd at 1 p.m. I will be attending that in Secretary. And then Deputy Marshal Aaron Walker has tendered her resignation effective May 29th. Justin could not make it tonight, but I don't know, Terry, do you have any announcements? Okay, that's all, everything from staff.
Terry, I am going to ask you, I know we talked about it just a little bit at the workshop, but how did the cleanup go?
It went good. Cleanup in 2 days, we had 88 people show up.
Oh.
9 were out of town. And out of the 9 that got turned away, only 2 offered to pay. So that might be an option for the board down the road.
Without county participation.
For anybody out of town, if they want to pay the $25, let them pay. Yard waste, we had 18 people total, 2 out of town, 1 very cranky person came back twice. But other than that, it was good.
So out of that 88, was that, did you count the people who came twice, or was that 88 people total?
That's how many pickup loads came in, was 88.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's a bunch, it's a bunch.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We managed to stay open until 3 o'clock on Saturday.
Great.
Wow.
Great.
That's superb.
It was well utilized, I saw a lot of people down there, so, yeah, okay, thank you, Terry. Okay, moving on.
I have an
You have an announcement?
I
Okay.
do. I rarely do. So, in addition to my work as trustee, some of you may or may not know that I also work for CDOT. Not in any engineering or maintenance capacity, so there's no conflict of interest. But I did ride over to employee appreciation picnic with the current RTD, Julie Constant. And I happen to mention that Heather has, glowingly said that the staff is really awesome to work with, and et cetera, et cetera. And Julie said, Heather is fabulous to work with. So I just wanted to pass that on in a public meeting, that they appreciate you and how organized you are and methodical you are, and your attitude of just tell me what I got to do and I'll do it. I want this to go through. They don't get that in a lot of towns. And so Julie asked me to express her appreciation for how you interact with them. So, yeah.
Thank you, Heather.
Yes, Heather.
And I will again announce there will be a memorial service out at the Cedar Grove. The VFW will be doing that on Monday, the 31st at 10 o'clock. So the flags will be put out and they'll have the Avenue of Flags. It's a nice military memorial service. Inviting public is welcome, so please come join us.
I have one real quick too.
Okay.
I gotta find it though. They are doing a memorial service at Fence Line on June 4th for Betsy. If anybody would like to attend.
What time?
That's a good question. Does not say on the invite.
That's what day?
The 4th, June 4th, Sunday, June 4th. And as soon as I find out, I will pass it along.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
It is June 4th from 2 to 5.
There you go.
Okay. All right.
Just like Betsy would like.
Yes. Okay, so we will move right along to item I, committee reports, Montezuma County Commissioner. Gerald, you're up.
Actually, the county commission has been fairly calm and short meetings here lately. We did meet with the Attorney General last week over the merger of Safeway and Kroger's nationwide. This is a nationwide merger. Concerns whether how many communities in Colorado where these are the only two grocery stores that are available, how many choices they have, if it's just going to go from 2 down to 1. It's not so bad like with Cortez where Walmart's there. At least there's 3 options. It would just go down to 2, but throughout Colorado, they came up with a number when I asked them that question of about 14 communities throughout Colorado would go down to just 1 supplier, which has to be a major concern to a lot of people. Okay, so our recommendation with him was to oppose it if we can, because Safeway went through this back in 2016 and we saw what happened. There was a lot of empty stores left around in town. So I think he is going to oppose this without some severe restrictions on it as to them being able to close these extra stores down or not. And of course, there's always concerns about whether people would lose their retirement and that sort of thing. All those things have to be taken into consideration. But the other big thing, which I really didn't get an answer to, is really one of these companies in financial trouble that they have to be taken over? Or are they going to default? I think that has to be looked at too, but I really didn't get an answer that they knew the answer to that. So the other thing, I just came from a meeting in Durango with the state water engineer, Kevin Reed. He is going to be in Cortez tomorrow at DWCD's office at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, talking about Colorado River Compact, what would happen if there was a call on the river, basically, and they're rewriting some of the rules as far as the water divisions. They started in Division 6, which is up around Steamboat and the White and the Yampa. And they're going through that process right now. And it wouldn't surprise me if we're not next on the list. So that's all coming. It's going to happen probably in the next couple of years sometime. Just something that's probably going to happen. But his talk on basically how a call would be administered and all that stuff on the river is, they're not very far along with any kind of a plan to do that, because we have never been out of compliance with our production of water for over a 10-year period to the lower basin states. So he basically is not worried about it for the next 3 years. He basically said it's a mute talk, because we've basically been up over 85 million on a 10-year average, basically. So we're over 10 million on those 10-year averages, over what we're supposed to be. So it's really not a serious problem. The only other thing that we're dealing with is with Ironwood. We've still got some issues there, and that pile's not disappearing as fast as what it was supposed to, and they're basically be in non-compliance by the end of the month if they don't do something. And there's no way it's going to disappear that fast. So I don't know what all's going to happen there, but we'll see what happens. But that's about all I got. So.
I've got a question. I brought it up in our workshop, but it's probably appropriate to ask. With our wood plant being out of town and in the county, are y'all keeping an eye on that really big sawdust pile that's to the south? Or could you make sure that somebody's keeping an eye on it? Because
basically what they have is, we have certain restrictions on those piles. There has to be space between them, and they can only be so large, each one of them, basically so that we can get between them. If there was a fire starting one, it's not going to spread to the others. Okay, there is a restriction, and our emergency manager does inspect them.
Cool.
And does keep track of them.
Okay.
We try to keep track of it.
Yeah, he's checking.
Because that situation up there was not.
Yeah.
Okay, and the fact is, you don't want to do like they done up there, put logs in under the pile and all that stuff. You've got to watch what's going on there, because all of that thing, if air can get under there, that makes it more combustible.
Yep.
Okay, so all these things that happened up there, we're trying to watch on these others and make sure that they're compliant with keeping the piles separated, and hopefully we can not have any wrecks with this thing, but it's not a good situation.
Thank you, because it's really close to our town, and if it goes, it'll take a lot.
Yeah, they're trying to get to where they're making the pellets out of it, which will take a bunch of it, but you still got to be compliant with your pile size and the spaces between them and that sort of thing. And we're trying to keep track of all that. So hopefully, if you have some issues that you think we need to address, let us know so we can look at it and see if it's compliant or not. Because if we have to enforce it, we can do some things with it if we need to make them compliant. We don't need any more fires like was down there before.
No.
So
thank you.
Anyway.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Jerome.
You bet.
Sorry, I have a meeting with CDOT tomorrow at 4, so I can't attend the meeting with the water engineer. Can I reach out to you maybe Friday to say, hey, was there anything? I have a meeting at 4 tomorrow with CDOT, so I can't attend the meeting tomorrow with the water engineer. Can I maybe give you a call on Friday morning just to see if there was anything urgent that I need to know, or any information?
I went to the one up in Durango today. So there's not, you can actually get a copy of all his notes. See, or I can do it for you if you want. I've got a bunch of them tomorrow, so I won't be the one who does.
I'll just send it to you.
So I won't be the one who does. He is He's actually got 3 or 4 of his staff that with him. And
Oh,
even one of the attorneys from the attorney's office. Water.
I'll ask for a copy of that.
Yeah. You should have a copy of them.
Alright.
Thank you, Gerald.
Thanks, Gerald.
Thanks.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Gerald.
Okay, next is the Montezuma County Planning Commission. That was held last week, and I attended 2 weeks ago, after our first meeting, the Thursday, yeah. And I attended, well, the Montezuma County was
Gotcha,
the second Thursday of the month. I attended that one, and there was only 3 things on the agenda. None even came close to Mancos, and they all went through. One was denied, and the other 2 went through with no problems, so, but they weren't even close to us. Region 9, Janice.
Nothing new to report. I haven't heard anything from them since last meeting.
CDOT, Richard.
No, I haven't had a meeting yet, so nothing to report.
Okay, Mancos Planning Commission.
Yeah, still working on the comprehensive plan. So final review of chapter 8 and looking at chapter 9. We did not get to chapter 10, that was the plan, but review chapter 9 and then started a conversation about design review guidelines, and that'll show up on the next agenda as well. Starting to chip away at that, and then talking about the joint meeting as well. Yeah.
Design review guidelines won't show up on the agenda because we have the joint.
Exactly. Yeah. So kind of front loading that conversation with us and them and how that what the plan is or the scope is. Yeah.
Refresh my memory on when the joint meeting is.
Oh, it's July 8th, I believe.
Yeah.
Let me check.
Yeah, it is 9 a.m. July 8th.
Starting at 9 o'clock a.m., the board and the planning commission, very preliminary discussion, so that staff can receive some feedback here at town hall. So that staff can receive some feedback, because I think I need to know a little bit more about the scope of what you all want to discuss, so we can decide if it's something that we can handle in-house or if we are going to need to have a consultant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, it was
that's where we're
short.
starting.
It was a short meeting. For P&Z.
Okay, moving right along to discussion and action items. Number 1 is the Mesa Verde Motel liquor license application. This is Jamie.
The Mesa Verde Hotel applied for a liquor license for lodging and entertainment liquor license. So the next step is for you guys to set the parameters for the petitions and set a public hearing date. They are in compliance with their location and the marshal's office has no issue with it.
And so the zoning there is commercial?
Correct.
Okay.
It's a use by right in the zone.
Yeah.
However, the state and the town are the local liquor license authority.
Yeah.
So you will hold a public hearing, which is a quasi-judicial. We do all the appropriate publication. When the public hearing comes before you, you don't have a lot of leeway. You have to follow, it's just like going to court. So you'll have to follow some rules, and when that public hearing comes up, staff will provide a staff report with that information to you. So that this is a required step. And the town petitions will be available at town hall for signature, and then the applicant also circulates petitions. A large sign will be posted on the property once you set the public hearing date. We're asking for June 28th. So something will be published in the newspaper. There are some statutory rules that we have to follow in order to hold the public hearing for the license.
Okay. And if I recall correctly, the petitions, the people requesting the liquor license are submitting people that are for it. Okay. And then the one we have here is just for convenience and for and against. Okay, all right.
What's the minimum amount of time that has to be posted?
I believe it's 15 days.
15 days. Okay.
And that's a state statute.
Yeah. Okay.
So once you approve this, we post it in the newspaper, we prepare one of those large cardboard signs, and the applicant has to post it their location facing the street. And then we go from there.
That's why we're asking for the June 28th date to give enough time for the publication.
Okay.
Richard, do you have any comments? Yeah?
No.
Cindy?
No.
Yeah? Denise?
No.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to set the perimeters, so is that gonna be the city limits?
Town of Mancos town limits our petition circulation, so we only take into consideration signatures for people who live within the town limits, because that's the limit of your jurisdiction as the board of trustees for a
Right.
Sure.
Then I would, entertain a motion.
I move we set the perimeter for the liquor license as the town of Mancos town limits for petition circulation for the liquor license application from MMS Enterprises LLC, and set a public hearing for June 28, 2023 for a licensing decision.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson and a second by trustee Nick Manning to set the perimeters as the town of Mancos town limits for petition circulation for the liquor license application from MMS Enterprises LLC, and set a public hearing for June 28th, 2023 for licensing decision. Jamie, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson.
Aye.
Trustee Richard Hookock.
Aye.
Trustee Nick Manning.
Aye.
Trustee Brett McWhirter.
Aye.
Trustee Denise Bryant.
Aye.
Trustee Ed Howell.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
She's by right.
Moving right along, the 2023 Round 2 Agency Contribution Discussion. Heather?
So this item was continued from the last meeting, I believe the last meeting in May. And the board wanted some opportunity to discuss in more depth the agency contributions, because we only have $3,000 in the current budget. And there were several applications received that didn't technically meet the agency contribution guidelines. However, they warranted more discussion. For example, the senior center. While they're not technically a non-profit organization, they are ideally with the government under Montezuma County. Again, it is something that we feel is a worthy cause. So we are going to figure out another way to have these discussions in front of them. So we had a bit of a discussion in the workshop just to get everybody's feedback. This is your opportunity to have a final discussion as to what you all think you would like to see, and then maybe a motion, a second, and a roll call.
Okay, who wants to start the discussion? Nick, you want to start it?
Since I missed the first half of that, I would kind of defer. to
Okay.
someone else.
All right, Denise, you want to start it?
Yeah, I'm just going to follow up on what we talked about in the workshop, that we talked about a few of these organizations that are applying that don't really fit the criteria. Maybe through other means, maybe we can fund them a different way, or talk about different way. But and then the ones that do fit the criteria, when we divided that out, instead of their amount requested for the 1,500, we would give them 600. I think the ones that qualified kind of spread it out, and everyone gets 600.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I don't want to preclude anybody that came to the meeting and presented to us previously, and followed all the rules that we had set forth in the process. I think that, like I said, every one of these is a worthy cause. There's not a single one of these that I wouldn't want to fund. But we're kind of in a pickle here where we only have a certain amount of money, and we don't want to set precedent where every time we come up against a shortfall in how much we can give out, we just raise it. So I think as a way of showing our gratitude to these organizations for doing the right thing, I think we should fund all 5 that are able to be funded through this program.
Richard?
I agree. I think a little bit of money is gonna go a little ways for them, and it'll help them get what they need and keep them running. I agree with what Brett said.
Cindy?
I also agree, and just to clarify for the record, I believe that we're talking about $600 to each of Chicken Creek Nordic, Mancos Food Share, Pay It Forward, Imagination Library, which is part of Onward, a Legacy Foundation, and Community Connections. So that's what my understanding is, and I support an equal distribution of the monies that we have left to those five.
Yeah.
Again, as everyone spoke, they were all worthy causes. I think with the senior center, we have to address them under a different situation because they are not a non-profit. And I think we have those wheels in motion. And I think that, because they're all worthy, I think the best thing that we can do under these circumstances is divide it equally to the five.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of backtrack to the intent of the agency contributions. And it really is about letting people in the community that are doing something for the community know that we care about them. And so the difference between 600 the difference between the 1,500 and the lower amount to me is irrelevant. I think, showing these organizations that we care, maybe a smaller amount, but I think to me it feels better to kind of celebrate all of them for going through the process, coming to us and putting in the effort that they do in our community.
Because each one of them really is worthy, and
Yeah.
and they do a lot for our community members, young and old, and
They do.
so. All right, then I would entertain a motion.
I move we approve funding for the 5 organizations: Community Connections, Pay It Forward, Mancos Food Share, Chicken Creek Nordic, and Imagination Library in the amount of $600 each for our agency contributions.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Brent McWhirter and a second by trustee Ed Allen to issue a check of $600 to Chicken Creek Nordic, Community Connections, Invitation Library, Mancos Food Share, and Pay It Forward out of our agency contribution requests. Jamie, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson.
Aye.
Trustee Richard Hooker.
Aye.
Trustee McManning.
Aye.
Trustee Brent Whitaker.
Aye.
Trustee Denise Bryan.
Aye.
Trustee Ed Allen.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. So moving right along, we have the reappointment of Shannon Hazelip to the tree board, and she's not here with us tonight.
We took that off the agenda, correct?
No.
No.
I thought.
We took Mercedes out.
Oh, Mercedes. That's right.
So, Kelly, you wanna?
Shannon is the current chair to the tree board, and her appointment expired in May. So and Terry is actually the staff liaison to that. But we also have a tree grant, so I'll be attending future meetings just with regard to that project, and then Terry and I will figure out and make sure those duties. But the tree board has asked that the town reappoint her, because she's doing a great job. If you reappoint her, her term she'll serve for another 3 years, and will expire in May 2026.
Any comments? Then I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we reappoint Shannon Hislop to the tree board.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Richard Toker and a second by trustee McManning to reappoint Shannon Hazelip to the tree board. Amy, would you call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson.
Aye.
Trustee Richard Hooker.
Aye.
Trustee McManning. Trustee Brent Whitaker.
Aye.
Trustee Allen.
Sure.
Okay, motion carries. Moving right along to the Pass to Mesa Verde DOLA Administration Grant Decommission of Funds. Heather.
So we applied, okay, so I'm gonna give you the DOLA grant. So we're researching new chairs for you all.
You get a grant for that scare.
Mine did it too
Bring to your
during the
attention
audience
July,
business.
but no, this is funding chairs for you all. Sorry, I'll give you kind of an overview of this specific DOLA grant and then maybe a little bit more of an overview of the project itself. So, the town of Mancos applied for and received in 2022 a DOLA administrative grant for a benefit cost analysis for Paths to Mesa Verde project. That was required by a funding agency that is no longer participating in the Paths to Mesa Verde project. So we no longer need those funds. I did reach out to DOLA and explain the situation, and he said it's not a problem, do this to deobligate the funds. It does not affect our relationship with DOLA, because they're fabulous to us as far as funding. No effect at all on future applications. It can be allocated to another project. They just appreciated us reaching out so that they can put these funds back in the pool and potentially award them to another municipality.
For us again.
Yeah, hopefully.
We have projects.
Yeah.
We can, but, so that's kind of the short story on just this DOLA grant. Paths to Mesa Verde as a whole, Jason and I met with James Dietrich, who is a project manager from Montezuma County. And Mancos is still a priority. Mancos to Mesa Verde is still a priority. We have all of the, James has worked tirelessly on this. He has all of the funding in place for construction. Those funds are available to start construction in 2026. So you will see construction movement on the project in a couple of years. We're still working on design and that type of thing, but for our side, we're actually ahead of the curve a little bit. I also let him know that in 2021, at a board meeting, the board restricted $235,995 from reserves for 30% of the project. I did discuss with James that we should really not obligate future boards without a hard deadline, without a contract. You know, they're that policy. So I let him know that we can't restrict that funding anymore, which he understands, but that does not mean that we're not going to continue to work with them on the project. If and when they need a substantial sum of money, they will need to come back to you. And staff will absolutely support the project. It's definitely a worthy project. But my concern is if we're not constructing until 2026, I don't want to keep those funds restricted for that long, because we try not to obligate future boards. So that was a discussion with him. I will still, just so you all know and be fully upfront, if he comes to us and says, hey, we have this other piece that needs to be done, can Mancos partner, I am going to recommend that to you all, but it will be the existing board making that decision. So I don't think it changes where we're going on the project. I don't think it changes the scope or the timing or anything on the project. I was just a little nervous about having that meeting decision hanging out there for years without either re-obligating those on your part or some kind of hard contract or deadline. So the other piece, and I have no idea how this will go, and we need to potentially circle back around to it, but is somehow figuring out a way to put some conduit in the ground for that path. So, and that's kind of a separate discussion under broadband and that kind of thing, which Jason and I are working on. We'll be hearing those conversations at future meetings, but I think we're going to at least keep an eye on any potential funding or any changes or anything that we can do. Yes.
Questions? Yes. Is there anything, I should probably know this, is there anything prohibiting us from giving them the money now and then he has it in the account?
Yes.
And then we're done? There are rules against that?
At this point in the game, I wouldn't give the county any money.
Well, we could do that. I mean, if you want to do that, I would work with David to come up with something in writing, some kind of IGA or something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we would want to, but I'm just wondering, is there anything prohibiting us from doing that or exploring that? And then my other question is, in addition to the conduit idea, also the tribe in our quarterly meetings or whatever they are, the cadence of them, they're looking for a way to get water from way over there to way over there. And maybe that's something they should explore as well. And maybe they have the ability to get grant money, and that would help them get it at least to Mesa Verde and then maybe on to Cortez through that corridor.
I will, I'll reach out to Peter Bordeaux of the tribe. I don't know where we are on that project. I believe they put it on hold. But I will at least drop him an email and let him know.
Yeah.
And as far as Canadian County now, is there a consensus that you want me to research that with David and bring it back to you, or do you all want to wait?
I think mostly people are
I don't.
not.
Yeah, I have questions.
Yeah,
Because,
Greg has some questions.
So you know that next time we come to a significant expenditure of actual funds, not time, because we're still doing that, but funds on this project, James he's always prepared and willing to come and do a presentation, put it on the agenda.
So Greg has some questions, and then you have some? Okay, Greg.
Yeah. So since we're going to be reaching out to the county for a special meeting, can we maybe add this to the agenda just so that we can get some questions answered by the county on their level of commitment on the new commissioners, since there's 2 new commissioners on there since the last time we had a discussion about this?
We absolutely can, and I would like to include James in that conversation because some of the funding has already been applied for and awarded.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted, because the last time we had 2 different commissioners that were on that board of commissioners, and they were very into the project because of their own hobbies and likes. And I just want to make sure that the board that we're dealing with now has the same level of commitment towards this project before we go ahead and do more work on this or, allocate funds for it. I would like to know what their level of commitment is and what their level of understanding of the project is.
So I will add that, I'm emailing Travis, I'll add that as a potential agenda item. And then, but I do want to make sure that I include James.
Yeah, no, James is.
He's going to be the expert.
Right.
So.
James is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to this, I know. So,
I'll do that.
but I just want to see what their level of knowledge and commitment towards this project is before we put any more effort into it.
Nick, you have any questions?
Yeah, similar. I mean, I think I just don't feel like I have context. Maybe it's because I haven't been on that long. But just, we're one small piece of this bigger picture, and I guess I just want to know the other stakeholders. And it sounds like James giving a presentation would answer a lot of this, but I would love to know, because it seems like we're trying to decide what we're going to do, but is everyone else leaning in, or how is this all kind of coming forth?
I will say from Mancos to Mesa Verde is set. We have right of way, we have funding, we have design happening, we have construction funding.
Okay.
Our piece of it is set and done.
Great.
I do not know the status because it's outside of my jurisdiction. I do not know the status from Mesa Verde to Cortez.
Okay.
Previously, it got a little icky.
What was the icky?
Right away.
Right away.
Right away.
Yeah.
And most of ours is going in the CDOT right away. And talking about putting in a conduit, at one time, the state was bringing fiber and broadband from Durango to the college on in. Can we?
Actually, they're bringing from Wolf Creek.
Yeah, from Wolf Creek. I mean, can.
Isn't it still at Wolf Creek?
It's from Wolf Creek. They're working on Wolf Creek to Pagosa right now.
As I say, they're over the top of Wolf Creek.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 years ago when I was on this, and we had the COG, which was spearheading the project at the time.
Region 9 is spearheading the project now. They have applied for a grant, an NTIA grant, They're still waiting to hear, they anticipate hearing in June. We have met with Cortez and Montezuma County, the stakeholders, the NAC for the broadband, the grant writers, the project managers, that kind of thing, and Region 9. Jason is on a call every Friday at 9 o'clock for leaders in broadband. And then we also have a meeting this Friday at 10 o'clock to discuss potential funding in the event that MTIA isn't funded. So we're absolutely working broadband as a separate project, and it does intersect with some other ones, but the overall broadband project is still being discussed. And once Region 9 hears back on their MTIA grant, that will tell the town of Mancos how to jump. We have to collaborate with the county to get fiber from Cortez to here, so that has, with the city of Cortez and the county. We have had those discussions and those meetings. They're very preliminary. I haven't brought anything to you because we haven't made a decision. Staff here also has Plan B and a Plan C, or I should say Plan C and a Plan B.
Of course.
NTIA funds fall through. We can't, for whatever reason, they don't see it happening. But if we can't figure it out with the county and with Cortez, then Jason and I have a plan, and we're doing some research for some potential other options so that Mancos can basically go rogue and figure it out for ourselves. So those discussions are happening, but I don't want to give you like plan A, B, C, and D because I don't know where we're going.
I'm surprised the college isn't pushing some of this too and going after funding to help.
I mean, they have some already. There's fiber elsewhere we have fiber here in the building.
Right.
But
it's just
capacity wise, different.
Right.
So it's just a matter of getting, depending on who's playing, because we have been having these conversations for, well, starting in 2012. I've been having conversations of some kind with somebody, and the target keeps moving. I do think that if Region 9 gets the MTIA grant, we're going to actually see some boots on the ground progress. Shaq's been working incredibly hard with his team. Jason's been working incredibly hard with the leaders. We've met with Phil. So we're still in the gathering information process. And really we're kind of on hold decision making until we hear on the MTIA. But back to Pass to Mesa Verde.
Yeah, what's the connection there? I was confused.
The conduit, just putting the conduit, just taking advantage of that right away and getting it in before we have to rip up the trail.
Okay.
Even if we just put in conduit and handhold, they can always blow fiber through later. So that just came up at our last conversation. So there's much more conversation that needs to happen on that. But with regard to Pass to Mesa Verde, I definitely think that the town should continue to make it a priority as needed, as the project progresses, because, like I said, there still needs to be work to be done, but funding is in place, right-of-way is in place, all the agencies are planning on this side of Mesa Verde.
Cool.
So I definitely think that it needs to continue to be a priority. My concern was just restricting funds for this long without a written guarantee from someone. So, but I would absolutely be coming back to you if Jake says, hey, we're gonna jump and now it's the town share is this, I would be coming back to you honestly with the recommendation to approve that. So if you want to meet with James to find out what's happening from Mesa Verde to Cortez, or if we want to talk to the commissioners about it, I'm happy to include that. But Mancos to Mesa Verde is done. We're not going to see any action until 2026. You all won't see any action until 2026.
It seems like rather than having James back, it makes more sense to talk to the county commissioners then.
With James.
Well, with
James, yeah. But we need the commissioners' kind of thoughts on it too.
Because they may not know, they may need it, and I would love an update on where we're at and remind me what it looks like and, you know. Yeah, I just think it's
I
such a
remember the
cool
meeting
thing.
where we restricted those previously, and I think that was the last time we had discussed it in a meeting. So that was what, 2021?
Well, and since 2021, the path hasn't changed, the budget officially doesn't change. We know there's going to be budget changes. But again, until they get to the 70 or 90 90% design, official design. There's not a lot of new information to bring, but the proposed path is the same, the proposed players are the same, you know that. So it's CDOT, it's the Olympics course, you know. But I'm happy to ask James to come and maybe just do like a 10-minute, by the way, here's another large map, everything's the same, here you guys go, put your numbers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It'd be super helpful, yeah.
It'll be helpful for us. A couple of years has passed since then too, just to be reminded of it too. Just because we don't talk about it every day, it's not in front of mind. So
James does report to the county commissioners on a monthly basis about it,
Oh, yeah.
so you can.
Okay, so they're at least aware of it.
Yeah, they are always aware of it.
Oh, they're definitely aware. James has, anytime there's movement on the project, he has to go to them for grant approval.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So he's definitely keeping them involved.
Okay.
But I will put it on the tentative agenda with Travis, make sure that James is included. And then if after the meeting with the commissioners, if you want more information, then I will reach out to James and see if he can come to a future board meeting and just do a quick presentation.
okay, great. Well, I think it just goes with our theme of the workshop with them of, you know, involvement in the community at large with the county. You know, projects and working together on things. I think it's just kind of in the same vein. So I think it's kind of theme-wise, it works.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, it's great.
Okay.
So I do still need a motion
Yes.
or a decision as to whether you want to delegate these.
So does anybody else have any questions or any comments? All right, so I would entertain a motion.
I move we authorize the mayor to sign the letter de-obligating the grant funds for DOLA Administrative Grant EIAFA-20216.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Porter and a second by trustee Denise Bryant to authorize the mayor to sign the letter de-obligating the grant funds for DOLA Administrative Grant EIAFA-0216. Jamie, would you call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson.
Aye.
Trustee Richard Todd.
Aye.
Trustee Nick Manning.
Aye.
Trustee Carol Porter.
Aye.
Trustee Denise Bryant.
Aye.
Trustee Ed Long.
Aye.
And motion carries. Moving right along, the utility hardship clause discussion. Heather.
Well, this is something that you all discussed at the board retreat, and you asked me to do some research regarding how other towns under 2000 handled this issue, and to also come up with some alternative resources for citizens who are having trouble paying rent or utility bills. So we did reach out to the CML listserv. We received 3 official responses, because, again, it's towns under 2000. Dolores, Oak Creek, and Mount Crested Butte. None of those towns have either a policy or code language that offers monthly utility fee waivers to their citizens. I did research myself, Bayfield and Silverton, and the town of Ignacio. And Bayfield and Silverton, I was not able to find anything on their website. I searched multiple terms, couldn't find anything. And the town of Ignacio does kind of the same thing that we do, where they'll offer an extension or payment plan authorized by the town administrator or the town clerk. And each of the municipalities that we researched refer people to other agencies that will provide assistance with utility bills. Most of them said that they refer people to LEAP. We also, and I provided the information to you, we have this list of resources, not specific to utilities, but resources for citizens who may be experiencing some type of financial difficulty. This list is shared with them when they call. So that is the information that I have for you. Now I need feedback from you.
So I'm the one that brought this up, and after asking, you all asked everybody, we asked the staff to research, and none of the other towns are doing it. I personally think that having the list of references for the people, you can just stay where we're at and give them the an extension, and not do anything. If there was something out there, maybe some other small towns have some great ideas or something, but since I'm the one that brought it up, I can pull it off the discussion.
Yeah.
Are you guys in agreement to that?
Yeah, I say we do nothing. No more recommendations, let it down there. I mean, we did what we can.
We're doing what everyone else is doing, so.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Wait a minute, I'm gonna give everybody a chance.
Yeah.
Ed?
Well, yeah, I think we should stay with what we have. To give them, to be able to give them a list of other entities and other places to look for that money. The extended time for repayment, I don't have a problem with that personally. But as far as the rest,
Yeah, I think we kill it. I mean, it keeps our integrity alive, it lets staff, protects them. I think it just does away with any bias in a small town. And we offer this list and we support people. And I do like the ability for us to extend the payment plan or put it in a different kind of product for them. But I just think we just do away with any sort of hardship.
Denise?
I think we should just continue doing what we're currently doing.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with waiving fees that people are basically responsible for. And then I do support our current policy, which, if I understand it correctly, is staff is able to work out a payment plan. We do a quote-unquote extension, which basically means we're not going to charge them late fees as long as they're paying monthly in good faith on their payment plan. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Did I give you what you need?
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm gonna close this up. Want to make some notes for future?
Yeah.
So people who follow me know that these discussions have and memorialize the.
Yeah. And that's a great list. Thank you for putting it together. And
I actually stole that from somebody else during COVID. And I try my best to keep it updated, share it with Shaq, share it with the county. So it did go around during COVID, but now I just keep it updated because we do share it.
Excellent.
It's a great list.
I don't post it on our website because I don't get asked for it often enough, and
Yeah.
I don't go into it enough to make sure that none of that changes.
Oh, sure.
So when the opportunity arises, I say, I have a list for you, let me send it to you. Then I give it a click, is everything still accurate, and then I send it. So just so you know, you won't find it on our website because I don't have the capacity to remember to keep it updated.
And something that you might consider would be posting something with links to their website, which
That's
hopefully
what this
they.
does.
Okay. But updating the links, you're saying
And
you
yes,
may
because
not.
I found two, it required us not.
Okay.
I found two last time I used this, I did a quick check, and two of those organizations, the websites were no longer active. So
Okay.
I had to-
I see what you're saying. Okay.
So when I email it to them, it includes the links for their information.
Yeah.
I want to be able to check.
Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than helping somebody by giving them a bunch of broken links.
And then
Yeah.
call back.
Yeah, that's super fun.
Thanks for nothing.
I am going to ask, so you did want us to, in the June 28th meeting,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
but
June 28th is gone.
You removed item number 6 from the agenda.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's not it worked with the agenda right now. With the action and discussion items, you guys are.
Oh, right, but for June 28th.
okay, but the 28th, we will still be gone.
And it says on there, the 14th is when we're going to decide that
Who's going- The
chairperson.
chairperson, okay,
So, yeah, items for June
Okay.
14,
all right.
we will add appointing a trustee to chair the June 20 meeting.
Okay. All right,
Oh.
okay. That's, we just kept it in my mind, I remember that.
I see what you're saying.
I knew where you're going.
Oh, yes. You don't know what I've been through this last week. Okay, so go on to item K, items for the June 14th agenda. We will have the 2024 project and capital budget discussion. This will be our workshop. Adopt updated 5-year capital plan. Proclamation of congratulations to the Mancos Opera House. The City Give program discussion. And the comprehensive plan review, chapter 8, and we're going to pick a chairperson for the June 28th meeting. Are we going to go ahead and, you going to go ahead and swear in Mercedes, or do you want me to come up and do it?
Jamie can swear, as the clerk, Jamie can swear her in, and then she will be attending future meetings, so you guys will actually officially meet her.
She's fantastic.
Since she was a kid.
Yeah.
I was so impressed. So I know we talked, and we've heard about El Rio, and there's some disparity between what we know and what they're saying. And what did we decide we were going to do in terms of handling it? Do we need to just get like town's idea of like, okay, these are the facts?
Yeah.
Well, so this is
Okay, don't talk over each other, one at a time talking, okay? So, you've asked a question, Heather, answer the question, please.
So this is the first time that I have heard from this group of people.
Mm-hmm.
The last feedback that we received in writing, I do have something in writing. I did respond to that person. I don't know who to respond to or who to provide the information to. I do not think that we want to make like a blanket public announcement calling out a business. So I will respond to these citizens. I need to know who owns the property so that I can send it to that property owner and say, please pass this to your tenants. Because they gave us their address, but I don't know if that's their mailing address. And some of them, they did not give me their apartment number, so I don't have any way of contacting them. However, I am going to draft a letter when I figure out who owns the property and mail it, and then I will mail something or call this. I don't have an email address, but I do have a phone number. So
Doesn't the county own that?
I think it's a housing authority.
and so I'll reach out to the housing authority and have them do something. But just a couple of things. Trash on the street, first that we've heard of it. So something that I'll pass along to the marshal's office and ask them to check out. We don't like the bar, not something the town can respond to.
Right. Not at all.
Yeah, it's a use by right. It is not a residential zone. It is zoned downtown mixed use commercial. So again, it's a use by right in that location. They still have to follow the liquor licensing laws, but it's a use by right in the commercial district. And unfortunately, there are sometimes disputes between neighboring zones. But there's no way around that. Every zone is going to abut a different zone.
Right.
So it is zoned commercial. The property is not zoned residential. So that is a misconception that I do respond to when it's brought to my attention, and I have the ability to respond via email and phone call. But it is not zoned residential. It's a commercial zone district. The hours of operation, they are allowed by law to operate until 2 a.m. They do close generally by midnight. We cannot require that a business close at 10, a certain type of business. We're not going to require all of our businesses follow the same rules. So, and with regard to noise, again, we're all aware of it. Staff is keeping an eye on the location. There are routine patrols. The marshal's office is absolutely aware of those neighbor disputes, so they pay special attention to the area. As far as a car being broken into, unfortunately, without proof, the town can't take action.
Okay, guys,
I'm not saying it's.
comments, shake your head and engage, but don't make comments, please, because if somebody was listening on the phone, then that does interfere with that too. So, don't make comments back to Heather, please.
So we can't do anything about that. And again, if they call the sheriff's office, they should be referred, per procedure, they should be referred back to the marshal's office. I don't know a way around the issue. Currently, it is a neighbor dispute. I understand that it is not pleasant. However, the town cannot take any action at this point. We have not had proof that laws are being broken. And I would like to stress that again, the marshal's office is very aware of the situation over there, and they keep an eye on the location. I can't promise you that there's never going to be anybody highly intoxicated leaving the bar. What I can say is we can treat them no different than any other establishment with a liquor license in the town limits. So any establishment that has a liquor license is aware of the rules that need to be followed. The town offered TIPS training, which is the state training as far as training servers, and both business owners attended, passed the class, and received a certificate. They're not violating, and yes, we have some, the noise ordinance, the decibel levels change at 10 p.m., but I believe the marshal's office is currently tracking that information, and they will handle it as they see fit. So, and as far as parking or anything like that, I have responded to the business owner across the street. We cannot guarantee street parking on town and village streets. So I offered some suggestions, but again, it's not something that we can do anything about. We do not guarantee or block off parking on town streets for any reason. El Rio Cantina did reserve and pay for Pioneer Plaza for the days that they want their food truck there. There is no overnight parking in Pioneer Plaza, so they do take it away and we'll bring it back. The only time you will see a vehicle parked at Pioneer Plaza is at the marshal's office, says that they probably shouldn't drive, giving someone a ride home so that they're not driving while intoxicated. Because Justin and I just talked about that today. It is absolutely unfair if they say you can't park your car here overnight and the person is intoxicated and drives away. That's not acceptable. So we are doing the best that we can within the confines of the law and what our rules tell us that we can do. I will say that we did get a complaint about possible street closures this summer. So I responded to that with a list of the events and the event organizer and suggested that they reach out to the event organizer. And I did let them know we have a procedure for closing streets. As long as that procedure is followed, we treat everybody the same. I would suggest that you reach out to the event organizers with your concerns and see if there's a possible solution. I will say both of the event organizers got back to me today because I sent them a hey, just so you know this is coming. Got back to me today and they have made accommodation to alleviate the concerns that they received. So I understand that people are unhappy. I also understand that this is not going to be a popular statement, but the town and the event holders and other citizens and businesses are doing everything that they can to alleviate the situation. Unfortunately, parking is just a problem. And when you have a commercial district that abuts a residential zone, we've seen it in other areas of town. Sometimes they just cause issues, but there's nothing that we can do about it other than keep an eye on it. And I can assure you that staff is keeping an eye on it and doing what we can. So I don't have any good answers for anybody in this situation, unfortunately, but it is something that we will continue to keep an eye on and respond appropriately.
It will be interesting. And if the other liquor license goes through, they will be in between too.
Mhm.
So they'll,
We're gonna have people at that hearing.
And they realized it tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot, everyone that spoke had some disinformation. So it just seems, is there a way for that community to get, like, it was posted, there was a huge sign posted. It is not a residential neighborhood. I mean, I know this isn't falling on you, Heather. It's just somehow they're just got this focus that this, you know, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, could the cantina give them like tokens?
but
Like tokens to the Mancos Inn and to that housing?
I do not know how the businesses are going to resolve the issue, because that is absolutely outside of our jurisdiction.
Right, yes.
However, I have provided information as far as when public hearings were held, when things were published,
Yeah.
when signs were posted. I have provided that information to prior feedback.
To other people.
Requested feedback. I am going to compile that information with these new comments, and I'm going to send it to the property owner and say, we are receiving feedback from your tenants. Here is a list of frequently asked questions and answers. Please share this with your tenants.
Yeah.
That's the extent of what I can do.
Which is really good.
That's
really good. Thank you.
I'll be working on that and getting a letter out to the property owner and asking them to share that information with
Okay.
tenants. But what I should not do, in my opinion, is share those frequently asked questions on town websites.
Yeah, no.
No.
And unfortunately, a dispute is not something, a disagreement between neighbors of differing opinions
Right.
is not something that the town can or should get involved in.
Not at all.
as long as they're lawful.
I have another question. Getting back to the parking, it's really becoming an issue, this parking. So is there anything that we as a town board can discuss around parking?
Well, we talked about parking downtown because there is a new zone that was created in the 2019 land use code updates. And starting with the property across the street to Pioneer Plaza and a real estate office, Mesa, the east side of Mesa. That new zone is called downtown mixed use. There are no off-street parking requirements for development because it is on a state highway, and CDOT is not inclined to give additional access permits. That's number one. And number two, with the exception of this vacant lot here, all of those lots are developed, and there really is no place to put off-site parking for new development.
Yeah.
Or the property changes hands, they're going to utilize the building that's there. So that was a decision that was made after 2 years of kind of discussion around the other land use code changes. And staff may be bringing some ideas to you. We floated it before, and with Terry. But one of the things that I was wanting to talk to staff about, and I haven't yet, is when we revamp Royal Park, is there a way that we can increase parking at Royal Park? I know that's not going to make everybody happy. I don't know if it's an issue. Most people want parking right outside of their establishment.
Right.
We can't provide that.
Right.
It's just not an option. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any city that you go to that has any sort of a downtown has parking issues. So it is what it is. You know, we can't provide, I mean, we can try to accommodate a little better, but I'm not in favor of cutting part of a park away to give someone a parking area because, you know, you can walk a couple hundred feet if you have to. My kids lived in San Francisco. If they got within 8 blocks, they were tickled pink to their house. You know, so I mean, you can't accommodate everybody. And therefore, to me, parking isn't even something that is an issue. That's just a fact of life.
So Heather, who owns the property where we dump the snow in the winter time?
There are multiple property owners over there.
And we get permission from them to dump snow in the,
Yes.
But
I just thought maybe the town owned.
I wish we did. I wish, yeah.
That would alleviate some parking.
But by the time we put in parking over there, then it's gonna sell, and then we're back to square one again, too.
No. If we own the.
If we owned it now, yes. And Nick has a question, or Nick has a comment.
I'm with that. I'm like, man, we have, you never have to be more than half a block or a block from where you need to go in a car here. And I just think it's a little bit of entitlement around parking going on. I just think it's kind of crazy. I mean, there's a lot of room in this town to park. It may not be directly in front of your establishment, but I think it's worth investigating because the town's clearly growing. What are our options long term, 5, 10, 15 years down the road? But yeah, I just don't. I don't see it. And I think it is downtown mixed use. We cannot guarantee parking. There's just not enough space. Those like the inn. I just think we can't guarantee anything. So I just want to say I really appreciate what you wrote to them. It was very matter of fact, and I thought it was kind of hit the nail on the head, so diplomatically.
Well, and as a downtown business owner for myself, I see it every day. I'm down there. That road is always packed. It can be an hour before we even open, and there's cars all the way edge to edge. But if you look over at Well Park, this parking lot right off of Grand is empty.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I don't think extending out the parking is going to make one iota of difference, because if you don't have the parking right in front of the structure that they want to go to, they're going to be upset.
Mm-hmm.
People won't walk in this town 2 blocks. If they'll
Well, that's not
drive
even 2 blocks.
They'll drive 2 blocks to pick their kid up from school and make a big traffic jam in front of that school if they have to. I mean, they just won't do it. So I think we can look into everything possible and do our due diligence, but unless we figure out a way of doing double-decker parking on the street or something right in front of businesses, it ain't gonna make anybody happy.
Is it a signage thing? What about a sign in front of Boyle Park that said free public parking? I mean, is that?
People don't read signs.
Well, but
Yeah,
tourists that come
they
to
don't.
town take them
But it's
off.
not tourists that we're having issues with. We're having these
You're right.
issues in the off-season.
You're right.
Yeah.
We're not even in the season yet, guys. We're just in May right now,
Yeah,
and it's only going to get busier.
Heather.
And the parking, the reason I have talked to staff about it is there are other issues besides just expanding our parking in the park. We currently have a no overnight parking requirement because you don't want people camping there.
Right.
It is not a campground, we have a campground, so that's the reason that I hadn't mentioned it to staff, because I was still doing a little bit of my own research. I'm gonna stop doing that research, to be honest with you, based on this conversation. But there are other issues. I don't want you to get the idea that there's a way that we can just be like, yeah, you can park right here. Because if we open public parking, 24 hours, there are many other issues that we're gonna have to discuss and consider and talk about and that kind of thing.
Meter maid and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so I hadn't, that was a thought that I had over the last couple of weeks, hadn't fleshed it out yet, which is why Terry was probably like, no, I'm not doing that. But I don't think I'm gonna move forward. I mean, you know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop having that thought.
Okay, I just was curious.
Well, I will say, if you do some research on parking in any municipality of any size, generally urban, but it applies to us as well. Best practice is not to create more single vehicle parking spaces.
Mm-hmm.
There are other options that we should consider. I feel they are currently out of our reach, whether it's mechanical parking, where you drive in and it goes up, it's happening and it's.
Shuttle.
Yeah. There are self-driving and self-parking vehicles. I mean, all of that stuff is not necessarily something that is available to the town that large cities are using.
Richard's got a CDL, he could run a shuttle.
So like what they do in Telluride, when Telluride gets busy during the festival, they shuttle people in from out town, on the city limits, shuttle them in.
Well,
I mean,
if you want.
they ought to go try to find parking in Calgary on a normal day.
You're hired.
So one of the things that
don't have
will
to.
probably show up on our 5-year plan is a transportation master plan.
Yeah.
I know Ed hates plan, but we have nothing like that at all, so we're gonna have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But, so that's where the discussion comes in about encouraging ride share. You know, there are other things, so that I think is where this has led me, is a transportation master plan for future staff and boards to work on.
So I have a comment. I went to CML. I went to the CML office in downtown Denver. I parked 7 blocks away and walked to my meeting because you couldn't park. They had parking, but you couldn't park.
Well, they had parking for $30.
No, they had parking at their place, but it was full.
Oh, yeah.
And so I parked 7 blocks away to walk to my meeting and then 7 blocks back, you know. So this is downtown Denver. This is CML, you know. So there's Mancos, people can walk. Mancos is only a mile long in the first place, so.
I think as part of that master plan discussion too, we want to maybe look at doing something to encourage pedestrian walkability for the downtown corridor, especially.
Yeah.
By us at least doing stuff to make it more user friendly for people walking, and obviously the sidewalk project is going to make that
Big part of
a
that.
big part of that. But just anything that we can do, looking at what other cities have done to make their downtown business district more pedestrian friendly. I don't know what the answer is to that right now, but there's some options out there, and I think that we should look at that.
Only problem is we do have to, this is CDOT road. It's,
Right,
you know,
but there's
a lot
things that we can do to
yeah.
the side roads around the
Right.
downtown
But a
district.
lot of the places, like, you know, I know in Montrose, you know, that's not the CDOT road, and they close it off. There's no parking, and everybody has to walk, and there's a couple blocks up in Denver that there's no cars, but we can't block that off. You
But we
can't
could
see
put
that.
in bike,
Richard's got some.
bike.
So I got something to alleviate this. Why don't the Columbine and El Cantina start delivery? People won't go there.
Shut up, Richard.
Uber Eats.
Columbine has a liquor delivery license, if I remember.
We do.
correctly.
Yeah, but
But again, that's a business decision, the town doesn't want to get into that.
I think we're done.
I think we were done at shut up, Richard. Let the record
Do
state.
you want me to add this as an agenda
No.
discussion?
No,
No,
No.
not at all.
we did this
No.
I just needed to, I just didn't have any idea about this, what we,
Okay, Nick has a comment.
Well, and just a total hypothetical, and it might be just not impossible, but like, you know, we're talking about the inn and Boyle Park and overnight parking. Is there any possibility for like a permit system to help local businesses that need overnight parking to utilize space that is you know, empty at night?
I have not researched that. What I have recommended to any business that has reached out to us, because again, parking's been an issue forever and will continue to be an issue. What I have recommended is that businesses reach out to other businesses
Great.
and see if there's a way to collaborate.
Perfect, just leave it in the private sphere, yeah.
I know that one of our.
I say parking meters.
One of our organizers this year
You're kidding.
has collaborated with local businesses in the schools. But again, that's not something, I make a very general recommendation, and that it's up to private parties to decide how to work.
Okay.
Okay, last thing on the agenda is adjournment.
So
Motion
moved.
to adjourn.
So.
Trust me, I worked for CDOT for 20 years.
I've already